friends, today I have brought you a new video in which I will be discussing how you have to remember the different generations of cephalosporin, as because they all start from the CEF, so it's very much difficult to remember which drug belong to which generation. So today I will clear this difficulty, so without delay let's start. So for the first generation drug, as A is the first alphabet, so you have to keep it in mind that there will be A after F or A after PH. If you can see over here, there is presence of A after F or PH, right? So whenever there is an alphabet A after F or PH, you guys directly have to think about the first generation drugs, so they will belong to the first generation drugs. Now but the only exception is the cephalosporin, in which there is an alphabet A, but it does not belong to first generation, rather it belongs to the second generation drugs. Now moving onwards to our fourth generation drugs, so for that you have to remember the pi. So if there is a presence of pi, then it will belong to the fourth generation. So if here you can see cephalosporin and cephalosporin, so they both contain pi, so they both belongs to the fourth generation. Now moving onwards towards our fifth generation drugs, for that you have to keep it in mind the role. So if there is a role, they will belong to the fifth generation drugs. So here you can see is the role, and here also is the role, so they both cephalosporin and cephalosporin, they belong to the fifth generation drugs. And you guys have to look at it in a sequence. For example, first you have to look first generation drugs, then to the fourth, means you have to first look at the alphabet A, then to the pi, then role. Then you have to move onwards towards third generation drugs. So for that you have to remember 110 and me. So if there is 110 and me at the end of a drug and it starts from the CEF, then you guys have to think directly that they belong to the third generation drugs. As you can see over here is a me, and 1 and 10 and me, so it belongs to the third generation drug. But the only exception is cephalosporin. So this cephalosporin ends with the me, but it belongs to the second generation drugs. Now all other drugs belong to the second generation drugs, means if a drug does not have A, even if it does not have pi, role, and if it does not end with the 110 and me, then it will belong to the second generation drugs. So all other drugs are included in the second generation drugs. Now I'm going to discuss some key points regarding MCQs wise. So for that you have to just remember this, that the advanced generation, or you may call it the fifth generation drugs, they are active against MRSA, and MRSA is methicillin resistant staphylococcus aureus bacteria. These all are just important from MCQ's point of view. Now more resistant cephalosporin are more resistant than the penicillin to beta-lactamase, as beta-lactamase degrade the antibiotic. So the cephalosporin shows more resistance to beta-lactamases. These beta-lactamases are the enzymes produced by the bacteria. Okay, now if we talk about the penetration through blood-brain barrier, so first generation drugs are unable to cross blood-brain barrier, and therefore they are not used to treat any infection in the brain, for example meningitis. Okay, the second generation, they are partial penetration, means some drugs are can penetrate and some may not. The third and fourth generation drugs can penetrate well in the cerebrospinal fluid, means they can cross the blood-brain barrier, and therefore the third and fourth generation drugs are used to treat meningitis. Now meningitis. Okay, if we talk about the first generation cephalosporin, so they are mostly used against gram-positive cocci. This is the antibacterial spectrum. Now how you are going to remember that first generation is mostly used against gram-positive or second? So for that, the second is used against gram-negative bacteria. So negative starts from N and there is a presence of an alphabet in the second. So ultimately you guys can directly come to the point that the second generation cephalosporin are mostly used against gram-negative bacteria. I will discuss the different bacteria, gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, through some tricks in my later video, inshallah. Okay, now the drug is third generation cephalosporin, so there are more extended coverage for gram-negative bacteria compared to first and second, right? Means they are mostly used to treat against gram-negative bacteria. Now the last one is the ceftriaxone. So this is most commonly used to treat meningitis and gonorrhea. So this was all important from MCQ's point of view, and this was all from my side, and thanks for watching. Allah Hafiz for now.